All right, welcome to 6.5, solve two-step equations with negatives. This is really the same lesson as yesterday, but we're going to put more negatives in it and practice with that. So, let's start with some from yesterday, right? If it's add, you subtract both sides of the equal sign. X divided by 8 equals 16 minus 12, 4. X is being divided by 8, so we multiply by 8 both sides. X equals 4 times 8, 32. It's subtract 2, so you add 2 to both sides. 27 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3, and 9 equals x. Here, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. We get x divided by negative 2, right? So there's a negative, getting you ready for today's lesson. 12 minus 4 is 8. Now, x is being divided by negative 2, so you have to multiply both sides by negative 2. It has to be the exact same number, otherwise that doesn't cancel out. X, it has to be, x, a number divided by negative 2 times negative 2 equals x, and 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Right, what is the coefficient in this equation? Well, the coefficient is the number multiplying x, so what number is that? The coefficient there is negative 1. All right, so let's get going. It's the same thing, you just got to deal with the negatives. Oops, I added 10 there because I'm thinking about what I'm doing next when I should be adding 6. Add 6 to both sides. X divided by 3, negative 10 plus 6, negative 4. Multiply both sides by 3. X equals negative 12. So the constant is 25. We're subtracting 25, so we add 25 to both sides. Negative 5 plus 25, 20. 20 equals negative 4x. Negative 4 is multiplying x, so we're dividing both sides by negative 4. And 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5. We're going to be subtracting 10 from both sides. So now, 2x, right? 3 minus 10, you can't actually do 3 minus 10 that way, right? You'd have to do 10 minus 3, which is 7, and realize that it's upside down, so it has to be the opposite, please. You cannot actually subtract with the smaller number up top. And so now you divide both sides here by 2, and that is an answer. Say that. It's negative 7 halves, right? Negative 6 halves would be negative 3, so this is also negative 3.5. And if you bother, you could also make it negative 3.5. Please memorize that 1/2 is 0.5, so you don't have to sit there and go 2 goes into 7 3 times and do all that work. Decimal straight up, 0 straight down. Yeah, it is 3.5, negative 3.5. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides here. Negative 18 minus 12, same as negative 18 plus negative 12. Negative 30. Divide both sides by 3, because x is being multiplied by 3. Negative 10 equals x. All right, so please know that there is a coefficient of negative 1 here. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. Now, I like to write the negative 1 in step 2, just so I don't forget to do it. Because I guarantee you there are going to be some people in the test that say negative x equals 13, that's the answer. No, we need x by itself. Negative x is not what we need. We have to divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1, and that makes the x. So x does not equal 13, it equals negative 13. Let's do that again. If it's plus 7, you subtract 7 from both sides. 5 minus 7, negative 2 equals negative 1x. Divide both sides by negative 1. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2. Two negatives make a positive. And so 2 equals x. Okay, this is the one tricky thing today. So you're going to see this. What do you do first in this equation? Well, that is 9. How do you get rid of 9? Adding 9 is going to, if you add 9 there, you're going to get 18. You're not crossing that out. All right, you've got to subtract 9. And it has, the reason you do that, it has nothing to do with that minus. That minus goes with the negative 2x, and that's what the notes are about. You'll see that in a second. Okay, so we're going to subtract 9. Whoops, we're not going to use the highlighter. We're going to use the normal pen. We're going to subtract 9 from both sides. 10, now you have minus 2x. That was 9 minus 2x. But what happens in equations is minuses automatically become negative, and pluses automatically become positive. And so now we divide both sides by negative 2. And the answer is negative 5 equals x. No other, right? This is 19 equals 9 minus 2 times blank. The only number that goes in there that makes it true is negative 5, because 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. 9 minus negative 10 is 9 plus 10, 19. Only negative 5 can go in there. Okay, same thing here, right? You're going to add 7 here, not because of this minus over there, because of the negative 7. So we get that minus 3x. That's negative 7 minus 3x. But this minus 3x turns into negative 3x. 8 plus 7 is 15. Divide both sides by negative 3. And x equals negative 5. All right, so this is an equation. We're going to go blank plus h plus blank equals the total. Now, this is tricky. Let's look at it. A candle starts at 10 inches tall and burns 2 inches per hour. Okay, so we're going 2 inches per hour. That's our rate, right? Hopefully you know where that goes in this equation. Write and solve an equation to find the number of hours it was burning if it is currently 3 inches tall. Okay, so it's burning down. If I put a positive 2 here, you're saying this candle, right? Because when we had a plant growing, we would put maybe if it was growing 2 inches per day or per month or week, you would put a positive 2 there, and the plant would get taller and taller and taller. But candles don't get taller and taller and taller. They get shorter and shorter. And so anytime you're going down, that rate is going to be negative. The rate there is negative 2 inches per hour because it's going down 2 inches per hour. That's what this arrow here was trying to clue you in. Now the others are something else tricky. What already happened? It started at 10. The biggest number, because of the negative, the biggest number is not going to be the total. The total height of this candle when we're done is 3 inches because we're going down to 3 inches. All right, so 2 tricky things. 1, this rate has to be a negative, and 2, the total has to be 3. And you're going to be asked to write these equations as well as solve them. It is possible here to do this problem, do 2 mistakes and get the right answer. But the problem on the test is I'm going to be looking at your equation. So that's not going to work out for you. So we subtract 10 from both sides. Again, I got to erase that underlining because it makes it look like division, and I don't want that. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides, and we get negative 2h. 3 minus 10 is negative 7, right? Because same as 3 plus negative 10. Divide both sides by negative 2. And this is what's going to happen on these candle problems. You're going to get 2 negatives, which turn into a positive. And there's 7 halves. But now, 7 halves normally I let you do, but you know, it's time. So it's 3.5 hours, or it's 3.5 hours, or if you really wanted to be fancy, half an hour is 3 hours and 30 minutes. Any of those 4 answers, you should put hours on all of them though. I really wouldn't leave that one for this. When someone asks you how long something takes, you don't say, oh, it took me 7 halves hours. Nah, 3.5, 3.5, or 3 hours and 30 minutes. Notice 0.5 is half an hour. It's not 50 minutes, it's 30 minutes. And that sometimes messes the student up, right? And the reason that is because minutes are out of 60, right? Decimals are out of 10 or 100, so things don't match up. 5.5 is half an hour, 30 minutes. Okay. So same thing here. This tank was full of water, and it started at 18 meters, and it's dropping down to 3 meters again. So it's the same thing. Well, let's use H for hours. Okay. So a tank sprang a leak and the water level started to drop, just like the candle burning down, from 18 meters, that's where we started, at a rate of 2 meters per hour. It's dropping at 2 meters per hour, so that's got to go. And once again, because the total The total is not, because of the negative, the total is going to be smaller than where we started. Okay, so once you get, that's the hard part. Now you subtract 18 from both sides, negative 2h. 3 might, right, you can't actually do 3 minus 18. You have to flip it over and realize it's 15, and then it's negative 15. Divide both sides by negative 2. And 14 over 2 is 7, so this is positive 7.5 or 7.5, and this is hour, and you could do 7 hours and 30 minutes if you really wanted to, but these are 7.5 hours. All right, let's practice. All right, so we're adding 9 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 9 is positive 5. That's a negative 1 coefficient. We have that extra step of dividing both sides by negative 1. Negative 5 equals x. Let's look at that. The blank, this, right, it's fill in the blank. Negative 4 equals negative x minus 9. The only number that can go in there is negative 5. And let's look at that. Because the opposite of negative 5 is 5, and 5 minus 9 is the thing that makes negative 4. So the blank gets filled, the x is negative 5. There's another negative in front of it. You could also think of that as negative 1 times negative 5, which is positive 5. Here we're adding 10 to both sides. 3x equals negative 6. Oh, this is much easier. And then divide both sides by 3. X equals negative 2. All right, here's the tricky one, right? We're subtracting 6 because that's a positive 6 from both sides. Negative 20 minus 6, negative 26 equals, it was minus 2x, turns into negative 2x. Divide both sides by negative 2. 26 divided by 2 is 13. Two negatives make a positive, so it's 13 equals x. All right, so there's the water level dropping. And so let's do that. Blank times, I'm going to use h for hours, plus blank equals total. All right, so we're starting at 20.8. It's going down 2 meters per hour again, and we're going to end up down here at 8.2. Okay, so that's my equation. Okay, so now I got to erase these little blanks here, and then we're going to subtract 20.8 from both sides. All right, now please, right, you're going to have negative 2h, but you cannot do this, and I'm not doing it in my head either. I'm flipping it over, right? The bigger number always has to be up top when you actually subtract. And so it's 12.6, but we got to realize it's negative 12.6 because it's upside down. We divide both sides by negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive there. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. This is positive 6.3. Oh, it's hours. I almost said meters. 6.3 hours. Now that's not 30 minutes. Let's just make sure you understand that. All right, so I would just do that. But 3/10, right? That's 3/10 is how many out of 60? All right. 10 times 6 is 60. 3 times 6 is 18. If you wanted to put this in minutes, it's 6 hours and 18 minutes, right? 1/10 is 6 minutes. 2/10 is 12. 3/10 is 18, and so forth. 10/10 is 60 minutes. Final question. Again, we're burning down. Blank times h plus blank equals total. And I got to come up with some problems that don't all start with negative 2, but negative 2h plus, we started at 12 this time, and we're going to end up at 1 inch. We want to know when it's going to get to 1 inch. Okay, so let's erase that, and let's solve that equation. Subtract 12 from both sides. Negative 2h equals negative 11. Divide both sides by negative 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. This is 5.5 or 5.5 hours or 5 hours and 30 minutes. Good luck on the homework.